Welcome to the PorterWay Podcast again for like the umpteenth time. Steven Espinoza with
that's the second time. He's just the original. He's the one that started us off. He don't own no shares on the PorterWay Podcast.
No, but he's the
let's have him sign something.
I feel like it's been more than two, hasn't it?
It's been more than two.
We had him live.
Yeah, he's been on the bunch. My bad.
How you doing, sir?
But it's good. Now that I think about it, we need to have a conversation about some shares. I'm going to come on like this repeatedly.
Hey,
you're a lawyer, so we got to give us some time to get our stuff together.
Hey, you have a cute puppy. We love your dog. Everything?
She's wandering around. See, this is what you get when you schedule a podcast during Chris's vacation. People are out of their homes or visiting family. They got, child artwork on the wall.
There you go.
You got dogs wandering around, so you never know what's going to happen during this podcast. I'm warning you right now.
One time me and Shawn was watching the fight, he said, does Steven got a dog at the fight?
That's true.
I'm like, why you get so mad?
That's true.
You don't run nothing. He was upset. Is that a dog?
That's true.
Well,
that's true.
Speaking of which,
is that the dog?
Oh, that's the dog. Got a little
that's
bit bigger too.
That's my wife's dog. That's my wife's dog. Yep.
Yeah. Listen, we saw you at Tank versus Ryan, and I said, please, I would love for you to come back onto the show at the end of the year, just kind of recap with us how you felt this year went. Showtime, in my opinion, I think in the world's opinion of boxing, was none less than stellar. And then, of course, as the year's ending, we hear news that Showtime is going to be no more. So kind of want to just get your thoughts in terms of how the year went for you, for Showtime, and things like that. How you feel at this point with the boxing world.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you said it best, and I rely on guys like Al Bernstein, like David Dinkins, Gordon Hall, who've been with Showtime a lot longer than me. When they tell me that this is perhaps the best year in Showtime's history, that carries a lot of weight. So, I mean, personally, in my 12 years, it was the best year, and not just because of the obvious ones, the Spence versus Crawford, the Davis Garcia, the Benavidez ones, but also just, throughout. I mean, we take a lot of care on our cards. We're doing 3 fight cards, opening up with a title fight, a world championship fight in the opening fight. You're seeing really good fights top to bottom. So, I think what we're most proud of is not just the big headline fights, but the fact that, from Showbox to opening fights to the prelims, there was a lot of good stuff happening in 2023.
Yes, sir.
What's the best relief fight you've had on Showtime? Which, I mean, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, or Spence Crawford? Because I feel like until those fights happen, that's all people was asking you.
It would probably be in that order.
Okay.
In terms of, the harassment, the pressure, and not just the pressure, not just from outside, our own, look, and you brought up Mayweather Pacquiao. I came into the Showtime job at the end of 2011, already having a history of trying to make that fight and negotiating with it. So that was already sort of internally with me personally, something that I was disappointed about as a sort of lawyer. As a fan, it's something that was like a missed opportunity. So that one, there's a lot of pressure to get it done, and everywhere. Anybody who was even aware of anything in boxing, the first thing, I'm sure Al got this as well too. If you were connected with boxing in 2013, 2014, and you met somebody, the first thing they brought up was Mayweather Pacquiao. I mean, just wherever you went. So. And that's where Spence Crawford was getting to. So I think, you laid it out. Those are the 2 fights in terms of the relief, that they got done and the excitement that they got done. Those are 1 and 2.
We're doing the end of the year awards. I don't know if you got anything for Once Upon a Time Boss. You have anything for him?
Oh, for
Steven?
For Steven?
Yeah.
I would just say this. I concur what he said about this year. He, for those of us that even were there a few years before him, definitely the best year that of the boxing at Showtime. And, we've had some really good years. Even in the last few years, they've been great years, but this year was just remarkable. And I thought for boxing in general, and certainly at Showtime. So,
well, that segues into my next question, because this year we had Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, and then we turned around and we got we got Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford, and we're doing an end of the year awards. Which one of those fights would you say for you personally was the best promotion that Showtime had put on?
For me, it's a good question. I got to think. It depends on your criteria. Like everything, it's sort of like what are your standards when you say fight of the year, which wasn't your question, I know. But it all depends on what are your standards. Is it just in the ring? Is it, what does it mean to the sport? Is it the whole thing? When we're talking, your question specifically was the best promotion of the year, and I think that's got to be Davis Garcia, because to me because you can't have the kind of results that we had. That kind of gate, that kind of, 1.2 million buys, that kind of surprise performance, if it's not a great promotion. So to me, the result speaks for itself. You don't get that kind of an event. You don't get that kind of excitement. You don't get that kind of star power in the arena on fight night without seeing, without having a good promotion. And that's what it was on fight night. The two nights that stuck out, obviously, the two that you mentioned, Davis Garcia, Spence Crawford, were the closest thing in the arena to the Mayweather fight nights in terms of star power. You were there, but it seems like that some of the Mayweather fights, there were more celebrities on the floor than regular people. Yeah. And that's what it felt like, at Spence Crawford and at Davis Garcia, both of them.
Yeah. You got anything else?
The other interesting thing about that is that, which speaks to the point Stephen made, we all knew that the world wanted Spence Crawford. They've been talking about it for years. We all knew everybody was excited for it. But, and Stephen, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, the Garcia-Davis fight kind of organically grew as a fight in a relatively short period of time into this amazing thing. And so the promotion for it was kind of you can make the case that it was the biggest promotion because it just kind of came about, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's one of those that got done precisely at the right time. Yeah. We started talking about it in the fall, and within 6 to 8 months, there it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, go ahead. You got anything else for?
Hey, I know you didn't hang the boxing shoes up, right?
You talking to me? Or
yeah, I'm talking to you.
Look.
You ain't got to answer it. Plead the fifth. You're a lawyer.
No. It hasn't been I haven't made a firm decision. Still, this is still all very new. And you're still evaluating options, but look, you guys know it, having now worked in the boxing business, not that you weren't always in the boxing business, Shawn, but now you're on the business end as opposed to the fighter end.
Sure.
Once you sort of get bitten by the bug, it's hard to get rid of it. Mm-hmm. Nothing else. I could, go on to work in NFL or NBA or another sport. Nothing's going to quite match, what this is. And it's a combination of crazy and chaotic and passionate and, and unexpected and unpredictable. It's all these things that frustrate us as fans, but at the same time, make it so interesting and never boring and rewarding when it does come together and when the pieces do fit. So, once you're in this atmosphere and you get a taste of the adrenaline, I've been fortunate to be at a lot of sporting events, as has Al. And, for my money, there's just nothing like the excitement, the energy, the adrenaline of a big boxing match on fight night. There's just nothing to it. Not a Super Bowl, not NBA Finals, nothing else matches it.
I got a feeling that means that we'll see you at some fights, even if you aren't.
Oh, you'll definitely see the fights. So you'll definitely see me. You're not getting rid of me that easily.
Okay.
But I think there's a good chance you'll see me around as well.
Perfect.
Well, the other point about that is you raised an interesting. The thing about Stephen, and it was true the first moment, he came on the Showtime scene, and of course everybody's aware of his work before that with the different clients. At the end of the day, and I'm sure he would agree with this, the one thing that distinguishes him from almost any other TV executive that might be involved in boxing, and not to say many of the others aren't, but he is a true boxing fan, right? I mean, so at the end of the day, he really likes boxing, and I think that passion kind of came through in the whole everything we did, So I know you're going to be at boxing matches for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah, I was, I was before I started working in it, and that's not going to change. So,
yeah.
Look, people don't sometimes realize, those of us who work in the business, when big fights don't happen, we're as frustrated as any of us are. We're not sitting back and, feeling, any different than the fans are. And even as an executive, feeling, that at least sometimes I have some influence over some of these things happening. It's probably even more frustrating than a fan, because it's sort of like, it was partially on my shoulders, and sometimes it didn't get done. And, and that's frustrating. It does, it keeps me awake at night. It has in the past.
Wow. All right. Well, Mr. Espinoza, we're going to let you go this time around. We look forward to seeing you at the fights, and we look forward to having you back on the podcast soon.
Absolutely, gentlemen. I appreciate it, and happy holidays, and we'll see you soon.
Yes,
sooner
sir.
than you probably expect.
Happy holidays.
Take care.
He
ordered Amazon.
Look, and then the smile as he leaves. We dig it.